Hello and welcome to coverage of MSEM's Custom Night Magic casual tournament. I'm Caillou and today we're going to be watching the round 3 match between Cyber, who's playing Sultai Dreamsight Control, and BluesEclipse, who's playing a blue-white artifact aggro tempo, essentially. Cyber's going to open up with a turn 1 Seek Prophecy. They already have some good cards in hand, like the Conjure Realities and Recall Forgotten Aeons, but I really think the Violent Collapse is where they want to be at in this matchup. It doesn't take the... I guess they did keep a land with only 2 hands, or a land with only 2 lands. Oh god, a hand with only 2 lands. What is wrong with my mouth today? But yeah, I still feel that the Violent Collapse is so much better in this matchup just because of how wide Blues' board gets and how much you need a wipe. But I guess Cyber's thought is, as long as they hit 4 mana, they can Conjure Realities out a wipe anyways. Meanwhile, Blues is, unfortunately doesn't have a turn 1 white source, because what Blues could have done is Plains, bounce it for a Lumen Bay Flyer line floating white, and then play Self-Replication, creating 2 Construct tokens turn 1. Actually, wait, Blues did have a Plains, so I don't know why Blues didn't just do that. Feels like kind of a punt on his part. Especially because you can curve it into Nightwatch Rally or X equals 1, and then swing for 4 turn 2. Yeah, Cyber is just going to play another cantrip, Weed from Chaff. This time does hit a wipe in the Singularity's Grasp, and is going to discard... Still deciding that, it seems. I personally think that Negate is reasonably good in this matchup, but I think that Recall Forgotten Aeons you're fine with discarding because you can get it back later, quote unquote. And I think that you're fine with discarding the Negate. Kind of having, you have 4 lands plus Singularity's Grasp plus Conjure Realities, and you're kind of just set for this matchup. So interestingly enough, actually discards a Flooded Depths and a Negate. I'm surprised that Cyber discarded a land right after grabbing it with the Seek Prophecy. That seems a bit counterintuitive. Anyways, turn 2, Blues is gonna run out a Union Rail Strikebreaker, immediately cast a Lumen Bay Flyer line to generate a construct off of it. Unfortunately, these construct tokens are going to be very vulnerable to Singularity's Grasp, and Blues not having any of the Artificer's Persuasion style counter magic in his hand means that he can't do much to stop it. Meanwhile, Cyber with the top deck land, so still has enough mana for this Conjure Realities next turn. And this turn is just going to hard cast a Recall Forgotten Aeons. Gets that card advantage and gets to do a little bit of ramping in the bargain. So hits yet another land and a Mystic Arts. So Mystic Arts is great in this deck because the deck is very toolboxy in nature, and you can definitely give your opponent like no good choices, just like a gifts pile. Like, oh, this card recurs instants or sorceries from my graveyard, and here's this other card which you really don't want me to have. Now choose. Which, you know, is a situation which comes up exceedingly often when you want to get the titular card Dreamsight well. But Blues is going to play Self-Replication, gets 2 constructs off of it, and then 1 more construct off of the Union Rail Strikebreaker. Then he's going to cast a Hub of Innovation, which will let Blues start generating some value next turn. For now, though, Blues is just going to swing in for 2 with the Union Rail Strikebreaker and the Construct token, but threatens to do a whopping 12 damage next turn, or even more actually. Actually threatens to kill Cyber next turn because Nightwatch Rallier X equals 2 makes it so that each of these swings with 3 power, and so Blues like just dies. Or sorry, not Blues, Cyber just dies because Cyber will take a total of 21 damage. So Cyber basically needs to Singularity's Grasp now. Or like Conjure Realities to Violent Collapse, but really Singularity's Grasp X equals 1 just works wonders here. The only advantage of Conjure Realities is that Singularity's Grasp destroys Cyber's own clue, but actually Cyber can just play a land and crack the clue before Singularity's Grasp X equals 1. So here comes Singularity's Grasp X equals 2, interestingly enough. I don't know why. Oh, because, that kills the Hub of Innovation and the Lumen Bay Flyer line as well. Oh, and that's painful for Blues because that essentially sets him back on mana as well. So now Blues is really behind. Can cast Reflective Automaton into like, but then like what else does Blues have at that point? Like Cyber can just a 1-for-1 uh, Blues at this point, and oh god, hits. Where did where did Cyber get an Altmer Emissary from? So Blues just gonna play a Hubble of Innovation and pass. Meanwhile, Cyber has the ability to stand unassailable, plus level up the Altmer Emissary. And then as soon as Cyber hits 7 lands, can start bringing back these revelations from grave as just like crazy top end threats to kill Blues quickly. So it's gonna pay 3, turn Altmer Emissary into a rogue, draws a card off of it as part of the bargain, and has 3 mana up to Mystic Arts on end. Meanwhile, Blues does have the mana here to Reflective Automaton into Veteran Life Forger. And yeah, Blues is just going to concede there. There was no way he was coming back. Cyber could start rebuying cards from their grave and then could just start casting Revelations. Blues just really needed just that one turn window to play the Nightwatch Rallier and kill Cyber. Cyber just had the wipe. Sometimes you just have to force them to have it. Also, notably, I think Cyber has not dropped a single game this tournament, so might go up 3-0 in sets and 5-0 in games if Cyber manages to win the next game. Okay, so opening up game 2, Blues plays a Plains, Veteran Life Forger, then bounces the Plains for a Northern Express line. Meanwhile, Cyber is just going to open up the same way they did last game, Seek Prophecy, Harrowing Experience, Conjure Realities, and Recall Forgotten Aeons. I think, yeah, you do want the Harrowing Experience in this matchup, especially since Cyber doesn't already have a wipe. But you know, Cyber could prove me wrong. Did pick a different card last time. But Shifting Groove essentially functions as fetch land, so it does give a land for Harrowing Experience. So yeah, it's going to pick the Harrowing Experience. And then Hunter's Hideout is a win con, and has the titular Dreamsight well to rebuild back, even if Blues has threats past Harrowing Experience. So turn 2, going to run out the Interon Skycaster. This is another form of protection that Blues has. As long as he has the mana up, can save one of his creatures from a wipe. That, in conjunction with the Artificer's Persuasion, might be able to help Blues out here. So Wheat from Chaff from Cyber, drawing into Strike from Shadows and a Flooded Depths. I feel like you probably discard Negate and a land here, unless I'm reading the room wrong. So yeah, Cyber's discards a Negate, but to my surprise also discards a Hunter's Hideout. I feel like Hunter's Hideout is good here because it acts as both removal and a win con. And then it's just going to play a Fungal Mire and pass. Brindfleet Bay is pretty big game versus Cyber, just because it doesn't die to wipes. Technically you need something to crew it with, but it itself does not die to wipes not named Singularity's Grasp, and puts a pretty fast clock on Cyber. So really could just play Brindfleet Bay. Oh no, isn't going to. I think it is. Blues is still shook from the Singularity's Grasp last turn, but I think still has to play to like the fastest possible out. Because I would just play Brindfleet Bay, hold up 2 mana for an Artificer's Persuasion, and then swing in with Veteran Life Forge, swing in with Brindfleet Bay, crewed by these 2 guys. Instead, Blues is going to play the Veteran Life Forger, and then hold up Artificer's Persuasion while swinging in for 3 with the Skycaster and Life Forger. And another removal spell for Cyber at this point could just play a land and then double exit. Oh, Cyber's going to shock themselves with a Shock Fetch. Is not playing the Shifting Groove, interestingly enough, and is just going to pass. Probably hoping to Harrowing Experience if BluesEclipse extends their board a bit more. Also has Strike from Shadows and Exit as other point-and-click pieces of removal. So now Blues is going to play the Brindfleet Bay. Going to crew it up. So swings for 7, which is a 2-turn clock on Cyber. Cyber, I think at this point, has to just Strike from Shadows the Brindfleet Bay. Oh, the problem is, if Cyber tries to Strike from Shadows the Brindfleet Bay, then Interon Skycaster can just exile it. So I guess instead, Cyber should just Harrowing Experience and kill all the things that could crew Brine Bay anyways. No? Okay, he's gonna just strike from Shadows the Brine Bay. Oh, and Blues is just gonna take it. Isn't gonna flicker it with the Interon Skycaster. Importantly, this does mean that Blues still has Artificer's Persuasion mana up for the Harrowing Experience. I guess Blues' thought was, well, the Brine Bay will be useless if I don't have any creatures to crew it anyways, so might as well just save the Persuasion, or the mana for Persuasion. Ooh, but slowly but surely, Cyber's getting to the point where they'll have mana for Harrowing Experience plus a counterspell of their own. So Cyber's just going to play Shifting Groove and then pass. Once again, has complete control over what they want to do. Just Harrowing Experience plus Exit works. If Blues ever taps out, it's Harrowing Experience time. And Blues knows that Cyber has the Harrowing Experience, so probably is never going to play this Wonderkind Devising. Okay, so he's going to swing in for 5 with the Veteran Life Forger, Interon Skycaster, and Veteran Forger number 2. Cyber's going to cast Exit. Blues is, interestingly enough, going to let the Interon Skycaster die. I guess is now trying to just get in for max damage. So Cyber's going to take 4, is now on a 2-turn clock. And here comes, Interon Skycaster number 2, and Blue still has mana up for Artificer's Persuasion. However, if Cyber top decks a land next turn, we'll be able to play Harrowing Experience with Arcane Genesis backup. And on end is going to crack the Clue, try to increase their chances of drawing a land. And there's a Flooded Morass. Operation Harrowing Experience plus Arcane Genesis is now online. So yep, here comes the Harrowing Experience. Now the question is Blues going to try and counter this, or is it going to Interon Skycaster? Because Interon Skycaster can't be but it's going to Artificer's Persuasion. I was going to say Interon Skycaster Cyber can't really do much about. But it's Artificer's Persuasion, that's an instant Arc Gen. Okay, so off of the Arc Gen, Blue is grabbing a Kelithros' Workshop, which is basically just Mishra's Workshop, except you actually need to have some artifacts first before you can use it. It does have one Northern Express line, so is probably, he's going to go straight for the Wonderkind Devising? Okay. Yeah, okay, he's going to go for the Wonderkind Devising. I feel like Blues would want to play to the board with the Reflective Automaton first, but I guess not. Yeah, Wonderkind Devising draws Blues an insane amount of cards if he can keep it on the battlefield and if he can find a non-creature spell to turn it on. Meanwhile, Cyber is now going to run out the Dreamsight. Well, yep, has just run out of enough interaction, and drawing 5 cards will put him up to only having to discard 1 card at end of turn. So hits another wipe, some more lands, an Edict, and Once Abandoned is really, really good versus this Wonderkind Devising. So I think you just snap run that out right now. So yep, gonna snap a Once Abandoned the Wonderkind Devising. And there goes Blues' hope of card advantage. And the Cold Grave would have turned on the Wonderkind Devising, and that would have been so great for Blues. But unfortunately, now the Cold Grave basically does nothing. It is good Grave Hate, but currently Cyber doesn't have anything really that benefits off of Grave right here. So we're just going to play the Reflective Automaton and then probably play the Cold Grave for another Scry if Blues doesn't like what he sees on top. Okay, so in response to the Cold Grave, Cyber's going to Exit to kill the Reflective Automaton. So Blues does not get the Scry off of the Reflective Automaton. So I think that Cyber has pretty much got this game in the bag at this point. Blues empty-handed. And even if Cyber doesn't have a proper win con, can just kind of like Mystic Arts for one. The problem, of course, is that Blues does have the Cold Grave to be able to stymie any like dump something in Grave and then bring it back shenanigans. But I think that Cyber can basically just present an option of like, well, no matter which one you put into my hand, I win. Like, if you put Laren Alpha plus some sort of Revelation spell, like, what are they going to do? And for now, Cyber can just pass, because Mystic Arts is an instant. Blues, with the Artificer's Persuasion, on end, Cyber is going to play the Mystic Arts. Artificer's Persuasion could actually help against whatever Cyber grabs, but I guess Blues isn't even going to give them the chance to grab it, just going to Artificer's Persuasion, counter it. Because I guess Cyber can grab something cheap like the like the 1 mana card which grows, and then blues can't counter that with the Artificious Persuasion. And Nightwatch Rallier. It's just gonna pass. Blue's just gonna pass instead of casting it, and I think that's because he wants to find another artifact first so that he can really get this high up with Kelatrosis Workshop. And there's a win con for Cyber. Stand unassailable. Does Cyber have enough mana? Doesn't matter if he can instantly coalesce it because blues can Cold Grave in response, but does gain 7 life and forces blues to crack the Cold Grave. Cyber recoups lots of the lost life, and then is going to go to coalesce it. And blues is just going to concede right there. I guess there wasn't a window for blues to activate Cold Grave in between there. But yeah, Cyber does a clean sweep, 5-0 in games, 3-0 in sets. Dreamsight Control is back on the map, baby. It's good to see that even despite the May Madness update, some of our old archetypes are still up and running and very competitive. Until next time, which will likely be the next Grand Prix for MSEM. If you're not already signed up for it, go check out Decklist due May 9th. But yeah, until then, this is Caillou signing off.